Hello there friends, it's Ashley here from the Loopy Lamb and theloopylamb.com, and thanks so much for stopping by the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to crochet on both sides or opposite sides of a crochet chain. And this is an important skill when you're wanting to make different shapes like these ovals here. And now after I talk to you about or show you how to crochet on both sides of the chain, I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot these problems. So if you already are crocheting on both sides of the chain and you're getting these gaps in the chain, I'm going to show you how you can properly crochet on both sides of the chain so you don't have those gaps. And I have two different ways that I'm going to show you how you can do that. And we've got these two ovals here that I've crocheted, both using slightly different methods, and they both have a very solid center, so that way you don't have those big gaps. So let's grab our hooks and let's start crocheting on the opposite side of the chain. So as you can see, I've already got this chain started. I've already started working into my chain, and I've got one last chain here left to be worked. So typically in your crochet patterns, they'll give you instructions for how many chains and how far you need to go before you get to that last chain. Now this last chain is going to be your pivot point, and that's going to turn your work or help you turn your work so you can start working on the opposite side of the chain. Often you'll see combinations or multiples of 3, 5, 4, and 6 in this last chain. And today I'm just going to use 3 for the speed of getting it done. So we're just going to put 3 single crochets here in this last chain. And again, this can be any stitch that you'd like, but I'm just using single crochets. So as you can see, when I started doing those 3 single crochets, I started to turn my work. Now, when you look at the other side of my chain here, you can see I have an exposed loop here at the bottom of my work. Now that's where we're going to be working. Now, when I did those 3 crochets in that last chain, we're not going to work into that chain now that we're on the other side of the work. We're going to skip this first chain because we've already worked into it, and we're going to just insert our hook under that remaining chain, and then we're going to single crochet into each of those chains. Again, I'm using single crochet. If you want to use half double, double crochet, you can use whatever stitch you like. All right, so we're just working into that remaining loop across our work. Now, this last loop here can kind of be tricky to find because of the slip knot, but if you're counting how many stitches across, then it should be easy to locate. Now, I always recommend taking a moment at the end of your working on both sides of the chain to make sure you have the same or the appropriate amount of stitches. You should, depending on your pattern, have the same number of stitches worked straight on this side, and those increases are worked on the ends. Now that's a standard formula for a basic oval. Again, that might differ depending on your pattern, but counting your stitches to make sure that you have the correct amount of stitches will help set you up for success moving into the next row, because if you've accidentally picked up or lost stitches, then you'll have lost stitches or extra stitches in subsequent rows. So that's how you work on both sides of the chain. Now I'm going to unravel this, and I'm going to show you how to make sure you don't get those gaps in your work when you're working on both sides of a chain. So I'm just going to crochet a chain of 4 here. Now, when you work into a chain and you're starting in the second chain from the hook, if you are inserting your hook into the chain and you only have 1 loop on your hook, then that's what's really going to create that super gappy appearance that we have in our oval here. And we don't want that. Anytime that you're working into a chain, unless you're specifically instructed to do otherwise, you should be inserting your hook in a way that you have 2 loops on your hook. If you do not have those 2 loops on your hook, you will have that gappy appearance. Okay, so you would just work into each chain, making sure that you have both loops on your hook. Now that working into the both loops on your hook, then this is what your work will look like. You'll have a very definitive line across your piece, and it's nice and clean. All right. But we have another option that we can pursue, and it's this one. Now this one, the line in the center is a little more blurred. It's not as noticeable. And I really like using this one for amigurumi because it makes the spiral slightly less noticeable when you're starting, especially if it's a front facing piece like a snout or a nose. So let's take a look at how to do that. Now, when we have our crochet chain, we have different parts to our crochet chain that we're going to look at. When you crochet a chain, you take a look and it's facing you and you have these little V's. Now, when you turn your chain, so you're looking at the opposite side of the chain, you have these little bumps. And what you'll do is you'll work into the back bumps of the chain. Now, this first one especially can be a little tricky. So you want to skip the first chain and work into the second chain from the hook. And you're going to insert your hook under the back bump there, and then create your stitches as you normally would. And I'm going to do a few stitches because this one works slightly differently than the other one because of how it looks different on the other side. So when we get to the end, we create our pivot stitches, as I like to call them. So we'll create, let's do 3. Okay, and then it turns my work. Now, when you look at the back loops here that you would pick up, you'll see that you have 2 loops on this side to pick up. It looks just like a normal chain, which is really helpful. It makes it easier to locate where you're putting your chains now, or your stitches. Now, the one thing that does tend to trip some people up is this first chain here, or this last stitch you worked into, because it looks like it's unworked. People often will pick up extra stitches there. So you just have to remember to skip that last chain and then work your next stitch into that next stitch there. Now this method is handy, but it does have a little less stretch than the last method we talked about. But it does have a cleaner center row, and like I said, it's great for amigurumi. And that's it. That's how you crochet on both sides of the chain, and I hope that you found that this was helpful for you and that you don't have to suffer the gappy chain any longer. If you have any questions, I would love to hear from you. Leave them in the comment section below and I'll try to help you in any way that I can. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and please consider subscribing to the channel. If you enjoy free crochet patterns, please visit my blog, theloopylamb.com, where I've got tons of free crochet patterns, stitch tutorials, and technique tutorials just like this one. Thank you so much for watching, friends. Happy hooking, and I'll see you next time.